Cell Therapeutics, detta anche CTI, è una società biotecnologica americana focalizzata nei farmaci oncologici. Abbiamo avuto l'opportunità di parlare con James Bianco, amministratore delegato appunto di Cell Therapeutics, per farci raccontare lo stato attuale e le prospettive future di questa società. Dr. Bianco, could you please provide us a brief description of your company, of CTI?
CTI was founded by two oncologists in 1992 with a singular focus to acquire, develop, and commercialize more effective ways to treat cancer. We are about 120 employees today. We have offices here in Milan and a subsidiary office in the UK. We do predominantly clinical development and commercial activities. We don't have core research capabilities to date. Company went public in 1997. We are dual listed both on here on the Mercado as well as on the NASDAQ under the ticker CTIC.
And which are the products of your pipeline and in which stage of development they are now?
So we have a very robust targeted therapy for pipeline. We have recently received approval for pixantrone. As you may recall, pixantrone belongs to a class of drugs called anthracene diones. It was developed here in Milan by the Boehringer Mannheim research group in Bresso. That product is going to be launched this fall. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Following behind that, we recently acquired a very exciting new JAK2 inhibitor, a highly selective JAK2 inhibitor called pacritinib. That product is now readying for its phase 3 program, which will start in the fourth quarter, targeting patients with myelofibrosis who have low platelet counts, thus the differentiation from other JAK1/2 inhibitors which cause myelosuppression. Following on the heels of pacritinib, we have a new targeted therapy that we entered into an agreement with Chroma Therapeutics in the UK. That's called tacitastat. Tacitastat is finishing up some phase 2 studies and is being readied for phase 3 next year. And then lastly, rounding out the pipeline is a product called paclitaxel polyglumex, which is actually the first bioengineered version of Taxol. And that product is being studied in a very large program by the National Cancer Institute in ovarian cancer, with phase 3 data coming out, at least interim data, early next year.
Let's talk about pixantrone, you mentioned before, which is the most advanced in your portfolio. Which are the key benefits of this product, the target population, and when it will be available in major countries such as Italy?
So pixantrone belongs to a class of very effective cytotoxic agents called anthracyclines or anthracene diones. This is a class of agents that are curative in diseases like lymphoma, leukemia, and certain sarcomas. But pixantrone was devised differently than the standard anthracene diones. The structural motifs on those molecules that contribute to the primary toxicity of that class, which is cardiotoxicity, were modified by the structural chemist at the old Novus Pharma group here in Milan to make the drug as effective of an anti-tumor agent as doxorubicin or anthracene diones, but notably lacking in the capability of causing cumulative cardiac toxicity. Certainly in preclinical models, it was significantly less cardiotoxic than either doxorubicin or mitoxantrone. And in our clinical studies, at least in one randomized trial, it looked to be as less cardiotoxic as the preclinical models would suggest.
So the main benefits are in terms of safety more than in efficacy?
Correct. To date, that has been our primary focus with the agent.
When you will launch the product in our country?
So, as you know, in the EU, there's really an order to which you do market entry. You typically will start with those markets in which reimbursement is readily available right at the outset, like Germany, Austria, and some of the Nordic countries. We will begin price discussions and negotiations with the Italian authorities, and that typically will take between 9 and 12 months. So we see Germany coming online first, usually followed by France, and then Italy and the UK towards the third quarter of next year.
Are you planning to launch the product by yourself, or are you going to make an alliance with some other company?
So in 2012, as it is today, for small companies to introduce products, there's a very cost-effective model now where one can hire its sales force through a large contract organization like Quintiles, so that we don't require the infrastructure and the legal and the labor requirements to do that on a country-by-country basis. And that's what we plan on doing. Actually, the margins could be very attractive for us, and it allows us to stage the market entry in a very cost-effective way.
As you mentioned, Pixantron has been discovered in Italy, in the research center you had in Bresso. Why you decided to shut down it in 2008?
So Bresso was a very, how do I put it, instrumental in helping CTI bring Pixantron through its clinical development to bring into preclinical development another very exciting compound that we didn't talk about, which are bisplatonates. And then as we entered into the phase 3 and as the phase 3 program began to wind down, we didn't really have, as a company, a need for the back integration with respects to the preclinical sciences that were necessary to support the products that were moving into phase 3. And so given the economic environment in 2008 and really the lack of a strategic reason to have a core research group, we wound down that business, which concluded in 2009.
Fortunately, there is still some Italy in Pixantron because you choose Nerviano, the research center of Nerviano, to produce the product. Why you choose Nerviano and what you expect from Nerviano?
So we had a very close working relationship with the scientists at Nerviano when we had our Bresso facility. And while we wound up the Bresso facility, we still have a very close working relationship with the scientists at Nerviano. In fact, they are the drug manufacturer of choice for us. So as we bring Pixantron into the commercial marketplace, this obviously will support the growth of Nerviano as our product sales grow. And we also get to bring additional people back to work here in Italy as we launch here in the country next year with our own sales force.
And which are the major challenges for a small biotech company such as Cell Therapeutics?
I think as with all companies, it doesn't have to be small, but all companies, pipeline prioritization is clearly a critical issue. There's a lot of good products that you can develop, but you need to have the capital and the resources and access to market to do that. So I would say that prioritizing the products that are most likely to be successful in clinical studies, that are nearest term to market in terms of the potential to generate revenue, and then access to capital to fund those development programs until you can become self-sustaining off of the revenues that they may generate as commercial agents. So those are really the challenges that we see.
And finally, how do you see the future of your company? Internal growth, alliances, or your dream is a big pharma who put the money on the table and buy your company? How do you see CTI in the next 3-5 years?
Well, this is an exciting, transforming time for us, right? I mean, we now have a commercial product, unlike our prior commercial products, that really targets 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 potential patients in the EU. So from a commercial perspective, it's potentially very attractive to help grow the company. And then right behind it, we have 2 very exciting phase 3 programs, which we think could become, quite frankly, blockbusters potentially in our portfolio, like the JAK2 inhibitor or the tacitustat opportunity. And so over the next 3 to 5 years, we really hope that we'll be in a position where we're now cash flow positive and profitable and be able to make the type of reinvestments in the pipeline to grow the company. I always say, I think of CTI as being the next Celgene. And so, again, a real translating science into innovative medicines is kind of our motto internally. And we finally think we're at the point where we can turn the corner and get there.